What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast. Before we dive into today's episode, please hit the subscribe button, the Coach Steve Show YouTube channel. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff. It really helps promote the podcast. This audio can be found wherever you listen to podcasts, literally everywhere: Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, wherever. So please follow it. It's going to alert you when a new episode drops. Please leave it a nice review and all that stuff. If you can, be a friend, tell a friend. In today's episode, we are doing the Chicago Bears versus Steelers for Monday Night Football preview. Make sure you check out Sundays for the Belly Up pregame. It's going to be on Belly Up Sports, the podcast network. It's going to be on the YouTube channel, their Twitter, everything else. Check out that whole lineup. So hopefully you guys watched TSS Fantasy. They had a good show. So today I'm welcoming back Zach Keilman. He comes back in and we're going to do another preview, kind of recap what happened with the 49ers, and then we're going to preview the Pittsburgh Steelers. So really gracious that he's coming back to do that. Might be getting him to come back every week to do this. He's a fellow Bears fan, so it's going to be sadness, or we're going to die, or whatever. It's going to be sadness, it's going to be preview, do whatever. So without further ado, here is the Chicago Bears versus Monday Night Steelers preview with Zach. All right. I am welcoming back Zach Keilman. I got it right for the second time. Yay.
Yes, you did.
He's the host of the Gridiron Gallery Podcast, host of the 4th and 4, which comes up after the show on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to drop all the other podcasts you do, go ahead, because I felt very bad last time. I just said, oh, he does 10, and we moved on. Like, if you want to drop all the other ones you do, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll do that. So yeah, Gridiron Gallery, and then also Inside the Walls, Arena Football, if you're curious, and then Gridiron Japan, if you're curious about football played in the land of the rising sun. That's about it, And then other side various projects like this one.
Yeah, you're also a fellow Bears fan, so this, like I said, when I put this on Twitter, it's either Bears preview or Bears sadness. It's gonna be one or the other, or both. It's both.
It's both. You're right.
At least you don't live around. I live in the suburb. I'm about an hour and a half, about an hour 15 minutes.
Okay.
But still around here, the first thing I hear when I walk in Mondays is how bad the Bears are, because everybody around us is Bears fans. So it's just a great time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to live at least in Northwest Indiana, so like that was my life for 19-ish years. And then you live around central Indiana, like Indianapolis, and it's like, you hear about the Colts, and their now struggles used to be like Andrew Luck era. They're like, we're so close. And then I'm just sitting here, I'm going, yeah, but like, I don't care. And I'm still depressed as all hell because of what I've got to deal with. So whoopee.
Because they lay the bait out. Bears are really good at, the Bears are like the plunger and like the donut hanging on the string on your forehead, because they dangle out in front of you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times where we have this top 5 defense, and then we have an offense that's competent enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then we screw it up,
somehow, some way.
Maybe next week we'll talk more Jay Cutler if I can get that figured out. But even
you dropped it.
I dropped it.
I'm in that mood now. You dropped the name. Triggered. Got there. Thanks, Steve. You got me there. Only like 2.5 minutes in this episode, and you already had to drop that man's name into the conversation. Congratulations.
I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it until it left my lips. As soon as I said the R, I was like, oh, I said Jay Cutler. But I digress. Like during that era, there were times where we were a decent football team and it's dangling out in front of us of like, maybe we can do it. Maybe we got it. And then someone gets hurt, or we play Aaron Rodgers in NFC Championship games, something like that. And
2012 is the prime example of your definition right there. Jump out to a 7-1 start. Cutler gets a thumb injury. Everything seems to collapse around you. Minnesota Vikings win the second to last week of the season, and we lose the tiebreaker to the Vikings in the end because AP is having a a almost record year where he finishes 5 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's rushing record.
Yeah,
that's what we had to deal with there. And then Lovie Smith gets fired, and then this is kind of the path we're on, right? We're still on that path after the post Lovie era.
This is supposed to be a preview. I love how I told you right before. There's going to be a preview and a recap. Well, now we're going to recap everything because 10-6 Lovie Smith, and then we're dealing with Matt Nagy, who doesn't get fired, and he can't go 10-6 since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ever since Lovie Smith left, it's just.
I love how you skip Mark Trestman entirely, as well as John Fox, because of either how depressing, or how depressingly it seemed like dysfunctional it was with Mark Trestman at least in year 2, and then John Fox just being a lame duck and completely forgettable era in Bears football whatsoever.
Well, John Fox, I thought Lovie Smith forgot about offense, and then Fox took that to a whole nother level of
he did forget about offense.
We don't need to play offense, we need to play defense.
Bare bones.
Because that's what Lovie Smith did. He was used to defenses over here, offenses over there. You two are completely different teams. And he brought that to Illinois, and that doesn't work in college where they're completely different. It doesn't work.
Yep.
Then you had Mark Trestman, who's this offensive guru, which we've heard that about another coach.
Yeah.
That we have right now.
We have heard about another coach doing that.
And then we get Fox, who comes in, and we play really good defense, but we run the ball 88% of the time with Fox.
Kind of how we're doing it now. Although, if we want to get into the kind of the recap into the preview type of thing, that looked like it was changing a bit this past week. You know what they did? They did play action, Steve. They actually moved him out of the pocket.
They did. It's crazy. It's like the fans have been saying that for a year and a half now.
Right?
Maybe it wasn't Mitchell Trubisky's fault. Maybe it wasn't.
The endless debate.
Well, maybe it wasn't all his fault. I'll say it that way. It wasn't all his fault.
Right. I still think that there's more evidence showing that maybe said coach isn't adapting to the team that he was given. So,
yeah, I mean, Bears didn't have Matt Nagy. He was out with COVID, and he's still out. He's still not back.
Yeah, we have no idea on the status of him this coming week either. So, yeah.
But I think you said it when you hopped on. We weren't very flashy, I think, in the first half is a good way to put it, but we looked different on offense. Like you said, we play action, we move the ball. Justin Fields looked decent, like what you would expect out of a rookie quarterback, just doing just enough to move the ball. They played with a little confidence. Now, the defense struggled the whole game. But the whole first half, the Bears looked like a different team without Matt Nagy. And I remember seeing all the posts on Twitter this is why we don't need Matt Nagy anymore. And I was kind of like, yeah, we don't need Matt Nagy anymore. Laser was – I honestly – I said this. I said this is going to be a huge debate because now with Laser not having Matt Nagy in his ear, he can just call whatever he wants.
Right. And if you think about it last year, one of the main reasons why the Bears even made the playoffs – was it was run first, but they ran a lot more play action too during that stretch. And it was funny because when they went to Laser, this is a good point to think about is it didn't seem like I was kind of surprised maybe as you are, where it's where are these rollouts? Because this is what he was doing last year with Trubisky, mobile QB. He's a lot more comfortable with his feet on the run. And all of a sudden it shows up with the coach away from the ball. I mean, you can say that Matt Nagy can pass along to Chris Tabor the game plan, but you're talking, it's a little different when someone has a mic in your ear an entire 3.5 hour stretch compared to a dude sitting at home, probably watching some TV at his house. And, once it gets to game time, things the script can be thrown out the window maybe after a first few series. So that is a fascinating aspect to that game. And if he's back next week, or this coming Sunday, like we're talking right now, I mean, yeah, that changes some things, man. You can see if it changes on the field like that too against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because when they play Pittsburgh, if we don't see if he's back and we don't see play actions, we don't see rollouts, then the big talk's going to be, well, wait a minute, when he's gone, we're doing these things. When he's here, we're not. Because NFL coaches, and it makes me mad as a coach in high school, we have to adapt to the kids we have, no matter what we want to do. In college, they do the same thing. NFL, they go, no, you're going to do what I want you to do, because if not, you're going to get cut. But look at Lamar Jackson. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad passer, but they're like, oh, he can run. We have 3 running backs. Let's do this, and they win. Who's another team that's hot right now? Look at Aaron Rodgers. He can move, so they move him around.
Right. At least for the main part, until he's not going to be in this weekend, of course. But I get your point. I mean, we can talk it like that. I think Lamar Jackson's the best example of a team tailoring to the strengths. But you see, with that though, the other part of that coin is you have to hope that the quarterback's weaknesses then can be kind of at least can be practiced upon, and then those improvements lead to improvements down the line. So, how Lamar Jackson was mainly more of a raw runner, we need to adjust the speed of the passing game. Now look at the dude. Dude is a multifaceted threat, MVP level quarterback that no one, if anyone's questioning his passing ability anymore, I need to talk to you in a private room and like sit you down, because I think that discussion is over. So like Justin Fields now, what's he good at? Running out of the pocket, running, and usually and if he can get the chance to get on the first read, great. He's good at scrambling and buying time for the most part when it's designed that way. In the pocket, no. And he's shown examples he's not good at reading how to escape a pocket, credit whether collapsing line or just doesn't know how to read the situation, holds the ball too long. Get the guy comfortable. That's what a rookie's supposed to be in the NFL. Look at Mac Jones. That system is comforting Mac Jones. Do something where it comforts Justin Fields' strengths. Last week, that was really good. And they're really going to need to do that against Pittsburgh, because you can't throw out a freaking in the pocket passer type of setup when TJ Watt is at the top of his game right now. And they just sacked Baker Mayfield 4 times last week, by the way. I mean,
yeah, because Pittsburgh, everybody wrote them off, but they're kind of finding a little groove right now. Their defense is finding a groove. Big Ben is Big Ben. He's going to play good or play really bad. But yeah, offensively, we can't sit in the pocket for 4 or 5 seconds. It's not going to happen. So this is going to be interesting. If Matt Nagy's back and we're not moving the pocket, it's going to be all on him. But Justin Fields look comfortable when he's running. He's comfortable. I think the receivers like it because they can kind of break out of character and don't have to run this route. They can get open. Mm-hmm. But what scared me was we couldn't get the run game going as well as we had. And I complimented last time to you. I said the offensive line can block. They zone block pretty well. This game, it was not happening. San Francisco's defense looked good. Like to us, like to the Bears, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, well, they strengthened up as the game went on too. I think they were, early on. I think that the change of game plan, more the play action. They were keying into the run first mentality the Bears have. That is kind of their bread and butter right now. And they were like, let's make the rookie QB try and make mistakes. And early on, I think, they were like I said, the Bears, it seemed like were scheming where Fields was comfortable. Maybe San Francisco needed to make some adjustments at halftime, and those halftime adjustments did show up. Sans one touchdown drive where it was the highlight of the day, where Fields gets out of a 4th and 1 and makes that ridiculous 22-yard TD run. I mean, dude ran 53 yards alone just on that run to make it. And that was special. That's what people want to see from Fields, but that can't always happen, or will always happen, that is. And so, besides that one drive, it seemed like, 49ers kind of adjusted as they needed. And, you're going to expect the same from Pittsburgh. I mean, they're no slouch defensively. They've showed up in recent weeks, and they're going to key in on the run again. With David Montgomery coming back too, they're going to key in on that, just like they did with Nick Chubb last week and Deontay Johnson. That is.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields was a leading rusher in the last game. He had 103 yards rushing, and like you said, most of them came on that big run. So again, I think teams are going to be okay if he's the one that's running the ball. They want to stop the normal runs. I think they know, well, eventually he's going to make a mistake. He's going to throw a bad ball. When we're running, he's going to get tired. They're going to have to hand the ball off. I mean, it took Herbert 23 carries last week to get to 72 yards.
Yeah.
And when he went down for a second there, I was like, we have no more running backs because Williams got hurt and he got hurt.
And I love Ryan Nall to death, but like I don't trust him to step in and do the same things Herbert can, because Nall can't really. Nall is not I don't get a confidence rating of him being a pass catcher like I do with Khalil Herbert. So
he's a fullback. He's the definition.
Pretty much. the dude basically could convert to fullback, and he probably would be the starting fullback for Chicago. Like let's be honest. He could probably do that.
When they put him in and he tried to carry it like a running back, I said, you need to put both arms over because you're a freaking fullback. You are not a running back. You are a fullback, or we can put you at guard, which we need. Like one of the two, we're going to put you there.
Just get some meat on those bones.
Yeah, he's not a running back. So when he went down, I was like, oh, now we're screwed. Like, this is great. And then Herbert reminds me of Matt Forte, like a younger Matt Forte, actually. The way he runs. Now, he's smaller, but just the way he runs, the way he looks, I was like, this looks like a Matt Forte when we first got him. And so I'm hoping that's what he turns into. But with Montgomery coming back and him coming back and Justin Fields, now you got 3 run threats. So hopefully that keeps Pittsburgh at home. But we're going to have to get creative again. And if Matt Nagy's back, it worries me if we can get creative to get everybody the ball.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dave Montgomery, you'll get another pass catcher too, for a unit that needs some support. Whatever you want to say about Allen Robinson at this point, we can kind of assume that it is what it is. I don't know if I don't know if it really is a chemistry thing or what, but like the man obviously isn't producing this year, whether it's tag related or nothing. Like that's a whole nother conversation. Darnell Mooney can't do it all. Marquise Goodwin, 1 year deal, okay, but like I expected a lot more from this guy from what I've seen of him beforehand. I mean, Marquise Goodwin's not a slouch, so I was just kind of shocked. Damiere Byrd, okay. Cole Kmet, we all have had our talks about Cole Kmet, needs to get more consistent targets, needs to be more of a focal point as a safety valve. Again, got a few targets this week, few catches, but okay, I expect more. And Jimmy Graham will be back too. So that also helps a lot.
Yeah, because when Laser took over last year in that stretch, you saw a lot of tight end catches. You saw a lot more tight ends blocking. We saw rollouts and everything else. Kmet had the big catches in the first half, and then we never saw him again. So I don't know if defenses just took him away. But like you said, if you got him and Jimmy Graham out there, if we can get down to the red zone, you put both of them out there, you got to pick. Which one are you going to guard? But how did the Bears move the ball? Short passes, too. Like people forget, RPOs and short passes. I think there was 2 RPOs where we had an illegal man downfield, and that's on Justin Fields. That's on him. College, you get 3 yards. High school, you get 3 yards. NFL is 1. So that guy's 1 yard downfield.
1 and like maybe a half-yard buffer if you're lucky, depending on the ref you get, the crew you get for the game.
But the big concern from the game was the defense. That is where Akeem Hicks came back, but he did not look healthy.
No, he did not.
Without Khalil Mack, teams were like, well, we don't have to double team anybody out there anymore. And if we could hold Akeem Hicks with one guy, now we can block the linebackers. And they were just gashing us up the middle, which you do not see very rarely with a Bears defense at all.
Yeah, if the Bears are not at least a stout run defense, that at least in terms of statistics year in, year out, that isn't normal in Chicago. That's something that we're used to, is that you're going to have to pass on us if you're going to get anything. And this year it seemed like it looked concerning. There were some early on in the Sunday Night Football game against the Rams. There were some gashes that that Darrell Henderson was getting on us. That was like, oh man, this could be foreboding. And there's been times throughout the year it's been this way. And then it seemed like the last 2 weeks, the floodgates have just kind of opened and we're seeing way more gashes than I expected. And it's not even really, besides Hicks, it's not too much of an injury issue on that front line. They still have most of their reserves. Hicks last year in place of, in place as being the main nose tackle, he's usually not that. He's usually the off-ball defensive tackle, is trying to be more of he fills up the gap, but he's trying to also be more of the pressure specialist in the interior. Last year he did that role really well. This year he hasn't had to have that pressure. Most of the guys you expect, like Bilal Nichols, is getting in there and has done his due as well. It just seems like for some reason that unit cannot hold their gaps, or they cannot at least get off any blockers to shed and try and tackle. More and more as the year's gone on, these gashes are getting more consistent. That is really scary. Not considering that the Bears aren't exactly giving us, you and I, confidence in their secondary right now either. No. Besides Jalen Johnson, anyone else, it's kind of like free game out there at this point.
When Eddie Jackson went down the second play of the game, it did change the defense, because now you have to bring in a backup defensive back player. I think that changes their defense up to where the box is softer, because now they have to take their linebackers and move them out a little bit, because they have to help out.
Right, because Jackson you can't have Jackson come down there and be a bruiser on those plays too. Right, which he's usually down in the box, like you're saying.
Yeah, he fills in the run really hard, and that's where he got hurt. He was coming down, something happened. Mm-hmm. When you don't have that anymore, now you've got to take a linebacker and move them out a little bit to say, well, now you've got to come out here. Well, now that opens up the inside. Well, then when you go back to the inside, Jimmy G runs around the outside for a touchdown, like something like that. And Jimmy G decided to play against the Bears. Now, fun fact, his first start ever was at Chicago a couple years ago with the 49ers.
Oh, yes.
A first start with the 49ers, I should say, not all. And I was there for that game. Fun fact. I think that was my second Bears game of my life. I was there.
Okay.
First one was when Jay Cutler hurt his ankle and we played the Lions and we lost 16-14, I think. It was a weird score.
Yeah, I think I remember. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And that's when the new part of the Soldier Field had just gotten put in that looks like a spaceship.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is way early on. All right.
And Lions and Bears fans got arguing after the game, and we were up high because tickets are expensive for Bears games, so we were up high. Bears fan took a Lions fan and threw him over the balcony there, and I was like, we got to go. We got to get out of here. It was bad.
Oh, my. Yeah, you probably made the right decision at that time. I'd be doing what you do.
I was like, we are gone. Like, scoot.
Car now.
The game was over anyway, but I was like, I'm pushing people. I was like, we're gone. We're out of here. And that little grass hill, when you walk out Soldier Field and you're walking back, that little grass hill part there, there was Lions fans standing there yelling at us, like all these Bears fans scooting out. So the police on horses had to surround them to make sure that no fans got to them. Like, it was – that's when I realized Bears fans can be crazy, but Lions fans can be just assholes too. I was like, oh, this is –
They have nothing – well, Lions fans have even less to lose. I mean, let's be honest. That probably, felt really good.
But that was a fun fact. They were talking about Jimmy G's first 49er start was against the Bears, and I was like, oh, I was there. And I helped Jimmy G out at EIU when I helped out spring ball. I was there. Like, I know.
Yeah. Remember you bring up that last week when we were talking about getting ready for him there.
He just decided to be a quarterback and played very well. He had over 300 some passing yards, rushes for 2 touchdowns. And I was watching it and I said, they're doing what he can do. He can do short. I know what he can do. He can do short passes. He can play action pretty well.
Yep.
And that's all he can do. He's not really a deep thrower. He can, but that's not what he's going to do. When they went to the Super Bowl, that's all they did.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, they managed right down that intermediate section of the field, a lot of comfortable throws.
And then when what's his face, Debo Samuel gets 170 yards rushing, that makes life a lot easier for the 49ers. Like, oh, we can run the ball. Here we go.
Well, I think you mean passing if you're talking that, because that was Garoppolo's main
Receiving,
target.
sorry, not rushing.
Yeah, although Elijah Mitchell had 146 yards rushing, so let's not kid ourselves. That still makes things easy as all hell if you were San Francisco. And this week alone, like you're just talking like Garoppolo to me wasn't going to be. I didn't think it was going to be a massive threat. I didn't even think he'd have like 300 plus yards for a game. I thought it was going to be pretty pedestrian. And it was going to be like we talked last week. It was going to come down to like Elijah Mitchell and like between him or Khalil Herbert. And Mitchell had his day. Yep. Khalil Herbert got stuffed. Now you got the same kind of a similar question in the run base for Najee Harris. However, now I think Najee Harris has a chance to, if I'm looking at trends, I'm thinking unless you get something shored up real quick and have a real quick solution, that might be a 100-yard game. Maybe not easy, but like it is highly possible that he can get 100 yards if this Bears defense continues the way that they have been in recent weeks. Kind of scares me.
Well, because Jimmy G had all this pressure on. I'm going to go back to Jimmy G real quick, then I'm going to move on to Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. He can't stay healthy. Should they trade him? He's not the quarterback. We need to play Trey Lance. Well, now he's not playing well. Why do we have Jimmy G? And I think he just kind of said, screw it, I'm going to play. And he just played. And they called the game. They called the game right for him, and he did well. But the two rushing touchdowns I didn't see because even at EIU, he was not a runner. They ran the Baylor offense. He'd run a little bit, but he wasn't a runner. So, but yeah. Then going into Pittsburgh, you have to think Najee Harris is salivating right now. Like, oh, if he can get 100 and some yards, I played at Alabama, which was like an NFL team anyway. I should be able to get 100 and some yards. And then Big Ben is going to love it because he won't get as much pressure because he can't move like he used to. He could still throw it. Like, we could be in trouble as a defense if they get the run game. We're in trouble, especially if Khalil Mack doesn't come back. But if he does, he's not going to be healthy.
Yeah, he probably won't be. And then that's been a consistent storyline, at least in the previous year, or at least previous year to 2 years, is like, how healthy has Mac been? This year it seemed like he was fully back up until, well, he wasn't. And so now we're waiting to see how that's going to turn out. The timetable last, from what I understood, or what we understand, is 1 to 3 weeks. So this was week 1. How healthy is it if you rush him back? But then, of course, you have to look at the flip. Robert Quinn couldn't do anything against San Francisco. Now, credit, he probably had Trent Williams to contend with all day, but still, we're back to what the old formula for the Bears was like 2019 and even last year with Quinn not producing, is key on the prime pass rusher and no one else is going to do their job, or no one's going to be able to get back there because they're just not that much skill set or anyone to rotate in like that. And that's what the Bears are at this point, is unless you have both those guys out there, you're going to either have to blitz heavily or you're going to just have to deal with it and hope to God someone wills their way back there, because that's what we saw last week. And it's probably going to be the similar case. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers just played Cleveland, who were easily harassing Roethlisberger and company all day. They got out of there alive, had an amazing fourth quarter catch from their tight end, Freiermuth. I'm definitely messed that up, but that's what you're contending with, is if you can't get back to Big Ben, he is going to have his day. The dude thrives on improvisation. That is how he's made his living.
And he probably won't run as much because he is older. It's probably his last year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, if you're going to give him 5 seconds, his arm is still strong enough to get the ball where it needs to go. And like I said, if we have Quinn and Khalil Mack, now they've got to figure out how to double team both or figure out them, which opens up the linebackers. But like I said, Quinn's not Khalil Mack. So 49ers said, well, if he makes plays, that's fine. We're going to worry about this, which he did. He made a couple plays. But then, like, that's all you got. And if Eddie Jackson doesn't come back, they're going to pick on wherever he was supposed to be at pass game is going to go that way. And don't be surprised if you see some screens with Najee Harris, because he did that at Alabama. They'd swing it out to him and throw it. They run screens with him. He'll hurdle somebody. Like, we got to watch out for that, because we're going to rush really hard, and he's just going to dump it off. And this is at Pittsburgh, right?
I believe it is.
Yeah, it's at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't think it was at Chicago, but
and that's
Monday Night Football too.
Yeah, and it's a tough place to go. It's loud, and defensively, if we're not healthy, it's going to be a low. It's going to be a low. Now, we said this last week. We said low scoring game, and it turned out not to be. But this one could be low scoring once again. This could be.
It could
21-10. It could.
I'm having a feeling that maybe it won't. But I think it all depends on the offensive game plan. If you can, like I said, for Chicago, if we're talking, if you do a similar thing you did against San Francisco, where you're rolling out of the pocket consistently and you're just kind of taking off pressure from the run game by giving that tease of, look, Fields can run. You didn't read the bootleg. Now you got to account for that. Maybe that changes. And then also, I think that when you have, like, if San Francisco can do 7 straight scoring possessions with what I think is, for the most part, not a splashy offensive composition, right now, just think of what Pittsburgh can do. I mean, Claypool and Deontay Johnson are going to be able to have their day as they please. Yeah, sure, there's no Juju Smith-Schuster, but have they really needed Juju? Not really.
No.
Claypool and Johnson have stepped up and have done considerable work and damage as needed.
On offense, if we have Montgomery back and Herbert, he was banged up there, but he seemed to he didn't want to come out. He came out, came back, he looked good.
Mm-hmm.
If we've got both of those guys and we can run the ball, we have a shot. But we have to get the run game going, because if we don't, Pittsburgh, they're going to say, okay, he can run all over. Let Justin Fields run, because once we get into the red zone and things become a lot tighter, we should be able to stop him. Like, if our front 4 or 5 can stop the run, we'll handle him. And then I think Pittsburgh on offense is just going to run the ball. They're going to look at it and say, let's run up the middle and see what happens.
I think you're going to get a healthy dose.
A lot of it.
There's proof now that you can, you can go into the teeth of right down between the tackles and get gashes,
And
Najee Harris is a big guy.
Yeah,
and leg churner.
And Kyle Shanahan is he's known for wide zone, and that's what the 49ers were doing, and then they eventually run up the middle. And I could see Pittsburgh is known for stretch plays, and we're going to see the exact same type of run schemes coming at the Bears. Even if Khalil Mack does come back and they feel like he's not healthy or he's not in a lot, because that happened right before the San Francisco game. He was coming out a lot because he wasn't practicing, so they play him 4 or 5 plays, and he sits out 4 or 5 plays. So during that time, once they see that, they're gonna run the ball. Keem Nicks isn't healthy.
Yeah.
Oh, we just have to worry about Robert Quinn. It's fine. Who cares?
Right.
They don't have Eddie Jackson there to come down flying and make the run fit. That's fine. And I said this in 2018. This defense is going to get old quick. So in 2019, we didn't do well. I was like, they're going to get old. You saw glimpses of it last year, and now it's coming to fruition of, like, they're getting old. They're getting hurt.
Yeah. Getting old, hurt, not at the same motor, it seems, too. Like, like I said, like we were talking with Hicks. Hicks is more injury based, but age does catch up a little, and dude has seemed to slow down, or just injuries are now plaguing his career at this moment, to where he can't be fully healthy and be a game wrecker like he was 3 years ago. It's very rare I've seen that type of Akeem Hicks in the last 3 seasons that we've watched football for this organization. He just can't stay healthy. And then you can't keep motoring on. You can't keep working on your craft or fine tuning as you get older.
Well, it's going to be curious because Pittsburgh, they average 254 passing yards. They only average 86 rushing yards.
True.
So,
inefficient,
but this could be the week where they're just going to run the ball. And, but they give up a lot of passing yards too. They gave up 256 this year a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at this and I go, oh, we should just pass the ball. But we, like you said, we only have one or two guys making plays on offense for receiving. Right. So even though that's why I hate numbers. I said that last time. I love numbers just for the debate and talk like this. But I also hate it because I'm looking at it going, well, this tells me Pittsburgh can't run the ball very well because it's 86 yards a game. So we should be fine. But I said that about 49ers. I was like, they're only doing this. And then they run for 180 yards or whatever it was total. But Pittsburgh can pass the ball. So that's what scares me with maybe they decide to pass the ball. Maybe they won't run the ball. Maybe they'll pass it because they're averaging 200 and some yards a game with Big Ben.
Yeah, recent weeks too, because Steelers are on a 3-game win streak right now. I mean, their attack seems a lot more balanced at this point. Credit Najee Harris again. They haven't really been able to get him to efficiently get carries, but he's still been part of the offense. They're still making him a focal point. He's a workhorse right now. Been getting those 20+ carry type of games, and slowly but surely, numbers are going up for him. Like, they are starting to get things to work. And again, the longer you get chemistry and have a consistent receiving core, the better. So like I said, having Claypool and Deontay Johnson has come out and has really shown himself to be, that can be a go-to guy for them out wide. So Big Ben has those targets that he can rely on, and that he doesn't have to hopefully lean on as much more. Like I said, if they can lean on Najee Harris in this contest, then it might be a done deal at that point. Again, if it's like Elijah Mitchell last week, I'm sorry to tell you, we're going to be doing one of those first to the finish line type of games, which we showed against San Francisco. That's not what Chicago's built for right now. They're supposed to be playing bully ball, like keep away, and completely failed last week at San Francisco. It can be even worse against Pittsburgh if you aren't making adjustments.
Yeah, and with Chicago, like the first half looked fine. Like the first half, okay, we're just chipping away. We're pounding at the rock. But then all the injuries started to come back and haunt us in the second half of when we don't have the guys, this is what happens. So Pittsburgh seems healthy besides Big Ben is Big Ben, talks about probably KFC before the game, something like that.
Probably smashes down a bucket or something.
And it's fine. I think we all should do that. It's fine. It's whatever. If I would have known that was the secret to play the NFL, I would have done it more. That would have been the thing. But we're going to go against a team that's not having those same injury issues. And if we come in with the exact same injury issues, it's going to be a long game. And we have to keep Big Ben on the sideline. We have to take as much time on offense as humanly possible. And Pittsburgh has only given up 100 yards rushing a game. So we're going to have to really run the ball. And I think we can. Our offensive line is a good run blocking team. We just can't. Like I said, if we get behind and it's 14-0 or whatever, we're not built to come back. Justin, you're going to we saw that when it was time to come back, we're losing by, 8, I think at the time?
Yeah. Justin
Fields is not the guy to bring us back with who we have. He's not at Ohio State where he has whatever he wants, whenever he wants. If we fall behind, we ain't coming back.
You got to play bully ball. You got to keep it away. Like you're saying, kill the clock. Keep Big Ben and company on the sideline. And then make sure that, like I said, when you're on the field with Justin and co, Justin's got to be rolling out, doing play action. Keep any chance of TJ Watt swallowing up that pocket and wrecking havoc out of your game plan, because you do not want that man having a Myles Garrett type of contest where he has 5 sacks and everyone's just watching it go downhill, especially on national television. Because because we've already talked, national pundits and all of them are just going to lose. They're That'll be all they talk about for a week,
Oh, yeah.
2+ weeks. And I'm not saying that's you play to control like media flow, but I mean, we had issues last year. I mean, just remember the Monday night contest against Minnesota, Nick Foles going down, injured. We looked like embarrassments on TV, had freaking everybody in the US having their pitchforks and torches out saying this needs to change.
And then Justin Fields comes and it's gone.
Right. Go figure. But this is the type of game you're in. This is a showcase. So, that added pressure media-wise can come out of this, which Chicago media already is relentless in its own way on trying to ask questions and get the nitty-gritty. You don't need everyone else doing that. You want to get this should be for Matt Nagy in particular. I don't know whether he's in or not. Hopefully his protocol has gone well and he is able to rejoin the team right as they're going to Pittsburgh, is the thing.
He can catch
at least that's
flying out there.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because this is one of those games that like makes you look either make or break in terms of continuing your possible chance of a job come the end of the year.
Yeah. This is a tough thing for the Bears. I was going to try to find their schedule because I'm like, I don't know. Like, you got Pittsburgh, you get time off. Then the Ravens come to town. Then you play the Lions. Okay, there's a win we could maybe get. Then you got the Cardinals, the Packers. 49ers, Vikings, Seahawks, and by then Russell Wilson's going to be healthy.
True.
Giants maybe could win there.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's winnable.
And then the Vikings again. So like you're looking at this and you're going to see 2, maybe 3 top more wins. So this is going to be a 6 and whatever season. And if that's not screaming, get rid of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, I don't know what is.
And yeah, because they're not going to fire mid-season. That's the big whole spiel going around with the fans. The McCaskies don't fire mid-season. They have a precedent and they keep it. Which, okay, fine. If you want to say you're a better organization for not firing your coach mid-year, go nuts. I applaud you that you get to at least have the guy go out with dignity. But I mean, does it do anything for getting things ordered and looking what you got on the roster? No, not really. That's the argument I have for firing mid-year is like it lets you evaluate a bit more. What some of your personnel could do, who might stay. Maybe you have a coaching candidate in the building that had a reasonable head on their shoulders. I don't know. That's the angle you can take. But like this game is another national contest that you don't want to have your organization be an embarrassment in the national spotlight. And there are some factors here that Pittsburgh on a hot streak could make you look like the fool.
Because they beat the Browns, who I thought the Browns have kind of fallen off. But they can't stay healthy either. And when they're healthy, they look like a really, really good team. So when Pittsburgh's beating teams, even though they're close games, they're still winning. So I said this on a podcast the other day, is mostly important. When they're confident, they're going to do whatever that they're confident with. And that's what's going to happen. So if the Bears go out there, now if it's a close game, you feel a little better about it. Like if we lose by a field goal, you're like, okay, like we're so close. What's the common denominator? It's Matt Nagy. We've already said it. But if we go out there and we happen to have what happened with the 49ers, you have to go, okay, we just got embarrassed now on Monday Night Football. Especially if we don't do what we need to do, which is control the clock, keep Ben Roethlisberger out there. And we need as much points as we can. If they're just field goals, we got to take them. And then on defense, we're just not healthy. It is what it is.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely the case.
And we can't help it. We just got to go out there and tackle. We got to go out there and make sure Najee Harris doesn't run all over us.
God,
you almost have to sit there and say, let's take away the run and make Ben move. I think you have to make him move.
Maybe. I mean, that might be a good plan. But again, that all comes down to pressure. Like if Matt can play and if he looks healthy, like that changes the game. I think it really does seem like it comes down possibly to, if you can get just enough to deter any run game and Matt comes back healthy to eliminate any chance of double teaming Robert Quinn, that might be your ticket in. But if Mac's gone, we're going to see, I think, like you and I are saying, a lot of what we just saw last week against San Francisco.
Yeah, if Mac's gone, then my theory goes out the window. We won't be able to move Ben. Now, if he's back, you've got him and Quinn. I think the only way is to make pressure and do twists and stunts. Because back in the day, you didn't want Big Ben to move. Now I think you do. I think you want him to move out of the pocket, make him think. His feet are not, he's not as fast as he was. He can't take as much hits as he used to. And I think if you get him moving, I think that gives our safeties and corners chances to just be athletes. And just hopefully we can cover people when we move him. I think that's the only way we're going to win. So if we can get him to move, we'll be fine. If we can somehow slow down Najee Harris in the run game, make him move, that's the only chance we have on defense. And then on offense, same formula. Just run the ball, move Justin Fields, short passes, and get some tight ends involved. If we get to the 20, we've got to get Jimmy Graham the ball. You got to throw it up to him.
I'd like to see – I would love to see a trips tight end set of Komet, Graham, and Jesper Horsted. Like, I mean, like, can we get more Jesper Horsted? Like, I don't know about you, but that one of Justin Fields' first touchdown pass was a beauty to Jesper this season. I was like, man, I don't know. Like, we have some talented tight ends, honestly, in terms of depth. Like, that's a lot of safety valves that helps with at least diversifying your receiving core that, in terms of that position has been really lackluster. Maybe you should start getting more of those guys out in the run. I mean, Horsted's basically the build of a receiver anyway, right now. Like he slimmed down so much. Like, and
Jesse James, he had some big
same for Jesse James. Like, great catch this past week. Got another one. We got a good tight end unit, or in terms of a room, it's a pretty stacked room if you look at it.
Well, again, this goes back to 2019. Like going into last year, after the 2019 season, going into the COVID year. They came out and they were like, we're going to get these tight ends. We're going to have double tight ends. We're going to have wings. We're going to move. Like, they were building the offense for moving the pocket and short passes and this. And what happened? We never used them.
Right.
Until Laser took over play calling, because he was not an idiot and said, well, we got these guys. We got them for a reason. Let's use them. So he will use them. So maybe you're right. Maybe when they get to Pittsburgh, like, we got to use these guys. We got to. Or upon Illinois, where we got 8 linemen on the field. They've got to do something like that.
I mean, just get somebody that obviously can get separation, or at least is more reliable and can maybe separate. Or, perhaps the defense sleeps on them a bit. Like I said, tight ends, you generally try and go for a primary. Sometimes one of them slips out. It's more likely, you look at that position, that could be the case. I don't know. Something that might mix things up, because obviously Marcus Goodwin, Allen Robinson, and unfortunately right now, to a degree, Darnell Mooney, in more to a recent degree, not doing it, man. It ain't working right now.
We're going to have a big off season when the season's over.
It's an important off season coming this year, because very important.
We're going to probably hopefully have a new coach overhaul. We're going to need some offensive linemen.
Desperate.
And we need a playmaker somewhere.
Yeah.
Big time. Like, everybody thought this draft was important for the Bears. This offseason is going to be huge for the Bears.
Whoever is making the picks this coming April, they need to prioritize just line in general. I am so done with trying to find the scraps of free agency, or mostly relying on the later rounds to find that diamond in the rough for line. Okay, you can do specialty players. Okay, that's fine. You can find those diamonds more commonly, but they are good, solid linemen that are all around great at their skill set and pass pro, and at whatever form of run offense you want to run, whether it's like zone or just direct blocking. Those are not a dime a dozen. They are luxuries in this league, and that needs to be addressed. I don't care who's there. I mean, credit if Ryan Pace is there and I see another draft where it's like maybe kind of like this one, but we have actual people that can step in, or are healthy, fine. But it should be mostly linemen. If you ask me this next one, maybe go for like a mid-round, like, third or fourth, like specialty player at receiver or something.
Mhm.
But you better be prioritizing line the first 2 rounds and rebuilding it's garbage. Like they have given up 30 sacks this year, Steve. They're the worst team. We are back to Jay Cutler levels of sack percentages and hits right now. I didn't think we get back there. I didn't think we get back to Jerry Angelo messing up type of era, but we're back, baby. Somehow we made it back. I don't understand what we forgot to learn from less than a decade ago, but we're here.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look at good teams. Why was Tom Brady so good? He had a decent offensive line in front of him. When New York won their Super Bowl, and I'm just thinking random teams, offensive line. Look at Tampa Bay right now. Their offensive line can pass protect.
It's a very young line. They invested in that.
Yeah, the team goes as the offensive line goes, and the Bears are like, no, it goes as the play caller.
Right. And I like that they're bruisers and they can do run. But like, give me guys that can do both things, man. Like you said, look at Tampa Bay. I looked at freaking Cooper Rush stand behind that Dallas line, which has been dominant for the last at least half to a decade, thanks to that capital and draft picks they've made. And I just went, holy crap, that was Cooper freaking Rush, CMU prospect, stud out of the MAC, that gets his first start and looks, for the most part, got what he needed. And we have Justin Fields getting hit 4 times a game right now because it's a freaking paper line of guys that we picked off the street that we said, we'll cheap on this. We'll get everything else. We'll cheap on this though.
Oh, you're 40 years old. We'll take you. Like
you were a former All-Pro. That works. Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe you're 41, but like, you still can move enough. You move. You have some mobility. You walked into my office. That's all that matters.
And we can pay you really cheap. So we can do it.
Sold. I'm in. Well, we expect you to be blocking 2 people off the left side almost every play. Good luck. You better start talking to Cody Whitehair though. You need to get on good terms with him, otherwise it will be like that. Which I don't know. I mean, that's an old thing, like Cody Whitehair and James Daniels. Also, those were highly touted prospects that have surprisingly seen regression too this year. That makes me go, God damn, what the hell happened to you people?
Yeah.
Like, you guys were good just like a year and a half ago. Jesus Christ.
Just blame the COVID year. We'll just blame.
Yeah. Maybe that is the case. I don't know.
Was there anything we missed? I think we had the sadness enough. We had good preview, and then we went back to sadness. That's just the typical Bears fan.
I mean, Justin Fields looked better.
He did look better.
That was his best performance. So there's, to end the show on positivity. Like, I want to see that continue. Like we're talking with the offensive scheme, but also, even if it was design, run, bootleg or not, if he is not confident past last week to start running on a regular basis, then something went wrong, because the guy obviously realized he can get 100 yards easy in this league just off of his speed and athleticism by rolling out. So do that a bit more. That might help too. Again, get him uneasy. But that was the best part of last week, was going, you know what? This kid might be going somewhere. We just really need to clean out the trash that's holding back some pieces for him to, grow his game. But that's a whole season topic, though.
Yep, I agree. A lot of changes have to come, but there is some positivity. We get some pieces in there. There's some positivity, but we need a new play caller. We need a bunch of things. But yes, he played a lot better. And if we can see that continue, maybe get some confidence. And going into next year, like, he can pick up on it, has a whole off season. Maybe he'll figure it out. But all right, I think that was good. I appreciate you coming back on. We might have a big show for the bye week next week. We'll see what happens. There might be some yelling, some cursing, some sadness, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure out what will happen there. and it won't be from me. It won't be from me.
If the show is going the way we've talked, then yeah, it'd probably be from me. Maybe, sounds like, Kelsey coming on, hopefully. So Jesus.
The only sadness I will join you in is the misery of like, oh, we're gonna be good, and then so we might both come at you with the Smoke and Jay stuff, but then when we talk about the overall, that's when the old style will come out and be like, yeah, you're right, like this happened.
I'll make sure I have some bottles on hand, not just as a joke. I will have them. Like I said, I gotta get rid of some of this. I still have like a freaking 14 cans of this like icy light from Pittsburgh that I picked up when I was out with Kelsey and DJ. And let me tell you, folks, it's not that good. I'm sorry.
Doesn't sound good.
If for some reason a Pittsburgh fan is here, and it's ironic that we're playing Pittsburgh this week too, but like if you are on here and you like it, power to you, man. But this is, as a game day beer, this beer kind of sucks. Like Old Style is such a better game day beer than this stuff ever will be. I'm sorry, I'm leaving on that. My take. Rip me apart as you will at Zach Keilman on Twitter.
Yep, we'll end it there. I'll put your link tree in the description. Everybody go check out all your stuff. Zach, thank you so much.
No problem.
It's Keilman. I got it right.
Nice job.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed that Chicago Bears versus Steelers preview with Zach Keilman. Listen to the audio version. Watch the video, subscribe to it, all that good stuff. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let's continue the Belly Up pregame Sunday. You get to listen to Zach Keilman and the whole crew. Stay tuned for the next live show as they host 4th and 4. Thank you guys so much for listening. Stay tuned for that show. We'll see you guys next time. This has been another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast.